Coming in Hot is presented by Botano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Coming in Hot. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York and Bobby Ryan. Pierre Groulx will join us shortly. It is a big day for everybody here in the nation's capital when it comes to being Sens fans. Gentlemen, as you know, our good friend Craig Anderson officially signing a one-day contract to retire an Ottawa Senator. And before you say anything, gentlemen, I want you to hear this clip. Captain?
I didn't announce a retirement because I wanted to be a Sen again. I never wanted to leave. I felt that this place was home for me and my family. So to be here today, it's just, I mean, I don't know, there's no certainties in life. And I think to be here today and to be able to end everything the way it's a storybook ending.
And it was. He got to play against Ottawa in his very last game as a Buffalo Sabre. It was an emotional day. Gentlemen, you can see and hear the emotion in his voice. Bob, you were his teammate.
Yeah, you can. I didn't get to listen to anything live. Your other two co-hosts were working on our games today, both of us skating. But I got a lot of work to do. But it's funny because Craig's not overly emotional. But you can obviously see it there. So, and I'm just really happy for him. I spoke to Lisa, obviously, with some quotes and talking about him the other day. I'm always happy to talk about what he was for us as a player, but for him to be able to do it the way he wants and to go out wearing that jersey last, I think is extremely meaningful for him.
Another great moment in Sens history, right? Like again, like this year, like they're just knocking it out of the park. You bring Craig Anderson in, and rightfully so. This isn't just a PR thing as far as I think, but this is the right thing to do. But man, it's just like I said, it's a moment in time with Ottawa. This guy had an outstanding career here, and I love the emotion because we were joking around like. When I was, I remember when he was playing, I used to hang around the dressing room and go in and he was always pretty standoffish in that. And to see this now it's awesome. It just shows us how much this guy cared, how much he loved the city and all that stuff he was going through when he played here with his family. I can only imagine what he went through, but man, awesome day for Craig family. And it's an awesome day for the organization.
You would think he's going to have to be added to the Ring of Honor, which I think they should have done today, but in and of itself, though, it's good to see him be rewarded. I think they need, and we brought this up before, to build that kind of history that they don't have. This is a young organization, hasn't won a Stanley Cup, hasn't done a whole lot. It's been to one Cup final. It really needs to build that history, and I think that starts with that kind of stuff. And so it's great to see, and it's good to see. Just for 10 years, he didn't get a lot of attention, Bob. Like. No one really talked about Craig Anderson being a really good goaltender, except he did a lot of really good things for this organization.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he didn't want anybody talking about him. So, as you
so
guys
true.
know, coming
so
into the
true.
room, he didn't want to talk to you guys at all, ever.
No.
And he played that lovable, aloof, I have no clue what's going on, I'm just going in the net kind of thing. But he had a pulse on everything. So, we're going to bring in PG, obviously, and he's going to be able to laugh about that because it'd be like, here comes the media, and Craig would be like, well, see ya.
That's what they say.
100% true.
Yeah. So they say goalies are different cats. They're all. I remember when I was doing Montreal, like Carey Price, you weren't even allowed to. Nobody was allowed to go near him on game day. It's like basically they just hands off. You can't talk to Carey Price. And I think Craig just did a nice job of putting up the walls, so nobody wanted to go over.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But he, at the same time, though, he also didn't care if you stepped on his gear, if you moved to touch his helmet, or he didn't care about any of that stuff. He's like, "Oh, do whatever you got to do." Like he would get a new mask, and we're like, "Hey, can we take some shots of it, whatever?" And it would be game day. He'd be like, "Yeah, do whatever you got to do." Like I don't care. So, and I think he just wanted just to be quiet. I think he was just one of those. It's more of an introvert, and just was quiet. Okay, so before we bring on Pierre Groulx, who was a longtime Sens goaltending coach, but he was also goalie coach in Montreal and in Florida where he met Craig. We'll get to all that in a sec. First, as always, this show proudly presented by Betano. Go to betano.ca, download the award-winning app, and then get in on all the action. Canada's sports betting online service. Live betting, bet builder, special missions. Also, they have a casino as well. But you can go in and start and look, by the way, you can start to change your bet if you want, or I guess you can't change it. You can just change it for a different team if you want to bet on the Stanley Cup contender. After 5 games, you might be changing your mind. Knock, knock, Edmonton Oilers fans. However, that is all with Betano. Go to Betano where the game starts now. And by BEI, Bonnechere Excavating Inc., equipment rentals, aggregate topsoil sales, custom crushing and screening. Just some really good people out in the Ottawa Valley. They do have free Hockey Friday if you work there. They will take your applications at any time. They're always looking to hire. Helping to shape the Ottawa Valley is BEI. And by Wendy's. We do welcome our new sponsor into the show, Wendy's. Coming soon on the Daily Faceoff website page, there will be the Daily Faceoff Wendy's Survivor pool. It's daily. It goes Monday to Saturday, and then they award the prizes on Sunday, and then it starts all over again the following Monday. Once that is up and running, we will get you all the info and get you set. So you'll download the app. You'll also download the Wendy's app as well. That's how they will award you your prizes for that. So with Wendy's, also try the barbecue bacon cheeseburger. Bobby can't, but Yorkie has had a couple himself. I know it. All right. So with that being said, we'd like to take now the time to welcome in a longtime goaltending coach who now is just hired, by the way, as Ottawa's goaltending coach in the new inaugural professional women's hockey league. He'll be the Ottawa goaltending coach. So Pierre Groulx, welcome to the show, my friend.
Nice to see you guys.
There he is.
We were just talking about you yesterday, how you worked out with Bobby a lot on the ice.
Yeah.
Would you rather work out with Bob or with Craig Anderson?
Each guy has his own differences, but but you know what, Craig was fun to work with. He'd always bitch about doing certain drills, but in the end, I always went to him at the end and said, "Well, we got the drill done. I got what I wanted out of you." So he always complained, but in the end, it was complaining in a good way, I guess. And with Bobby on the ice, Bobby would just roll his eyes and, "Come on, Craig, just get to work and just do the work you need to do." But no, we had great years in Ottawa. We had great people there, and it's nice to see them back to playing good hockey. But it's the good old days were really good.
So just so we're clear, and I know we all talk about how cranky he can seem to be. You and Craig are actually very good friends. I know you went to his retirement party. You went to his final game in Buffalo. So I do know you guys are super tight, and you're going to the game tonight.
Yeah, you know what? When we know he's old, and I'm old too. So we're 5 years apart. So the relationship became very easy at the start when we met in Florida. He was trying to get his foot in the door in the league when we got him from Chicago. I remember his first year playing 5 games, and he was just scrawny kid coming up, and he thought he knew everything. But then he had 2 great years playing for us in Florida and went to Colorado. But I think it's just one of those relationships that got built that we knew each other. It was just an easy conversation. He knew what got me. I knew what got him. So he knew how to, pick my buttons and just get me pissed off at him sometimes. But in the end, it grew as a friendship. And then when I came back and with him in Ottawa, it solidified it. I remember, way back going to his wedding, his family coming up to me, "Oh, you're Pierre," and the Andersons are a great family, and it was just great to be a part of that crew, I guess, and just being part of that family. But it grew up as a friendship, and the mutual respect we had between each other. He knew we had the work to do, and even though I didn't want every day game days, After he had his lunch, he'd come into the coach's room and do video for that night. And he always, come in and say, all right, let's get this over with. But then he'd ask questions, and he wanted to know what he needed to do. And then in between periods, he'd just call me over and be like, sometimes it was just to tell a joke or something, or just see that play. Can you believe I got away with that? Or sometimes just reassure him. So I think I always feel that the goalie coach and goalie relationship is very important in hockey, and that trust factor. And I think we got that trust factor early, and I think the fact that we became close friends just made everything easier.
It's funny.
Go ahead,
go
Bob.
ahead. Go ahead, Yorkie.
No, you go ahead. I'll go next.
I was just laughing. You probably spent more time on the ice with me and Andy than any other two players over the years, because I was always the guy that was, and we were the two of the older players that they're like, these two are the ones that need to skate, but that's what we felt like we needed to do. So we did a lot of I had a lot of one-on-one time with Pierre as well. Every game day coming and finding me and saying, "Are you skating?" And my answer was always yes. There was only a few no's over 4 or 5 years together, or whatever it was. But you obviously you grew with Andy through his career and the friendship. So I was just going to ask what tonight meant to you to watch him go out the way he wants to go out, to be wearing that uniform again.
Honestly, it's very rewarding because I took the kid that came to Florida, and he became, he had the chance to go to Colorado, be a number one, had a great first year, second year struggled, then went to Ottawa. Just to see how he grew. And then obviously we stayed in touch over the years. I remember, when he came to Ottawa, I was in Montreal, so we'd see each other quite often. But when Craig called me to go, he called me a couple months before the end of the year last year, and he says, I'm done. I'm done. He says, if we're out and playing against Ottawa, I want you there. And there was no way I was going to miss that. And it was just, it's rewarding in a way where, you made an impact on a certain individual that had a great career. And then the retirement party. It was great to see you there, Bobby. And I'm surprised there weren't more guys from Ottawa there. I thought there would be. But I talked to my wife about it, and we're like, well, let's take the kids to Florida and make a little vacation out of it. But these three events, I wouldn't miss it for the world because of the relationship we have, but also how rewarding it is to see Craig, his career, what he's gone through. And, there's no shortcuts of drama in his career. We all know that. But to see what he came about from a guy that was drafted twice, waived about 7 times in one day, and just what he took his career. It's very rewarding to be there at the start and then just see him at the end, and just what the game has meant to him, and the impact he's had on other teammates.
Pierre, I remember like that one season he had in Colorado. I remember Colorado, they were supposed to finish dead last. And Andy, he was having like an MVP types, like he was on a heater. And a lot of people forget about like that. Like he was arguably one of the best players in the league right there. And then comes to Ottawa, and he always seemed to me like to be one of those goalies that can elevate a not very good team. Like he likes to be, I always saw he liked to be the underdog. And the guy, and he just, man, like certain goalies can just take a bad team, and he just seemed to have the ability to make that like a good team that had a chance to win every night. Like, where do you think that come from?
I think he just, it is sort of underdog attitude, because you look at him, you're like, this guy can't be a professional hockey player. There's no way. There's no way that he's a professional. He's a skinny fat guy. Like he just that's the way you look at him. You're like, how can this guy be one of the best readers of the game as a goaltender? Yeah. And of course, you go back to the racing and all that. That's where it comes from. But to me, like, I remember like my first year back in Ottawa with Guy. And, I know Bobby knows this. He's like, Guy comes in and says, we got to give up less shots. And we're like, no, don't. Because if you give up 15 shots, Craig's going to be awful because he needs to be involved. So Craig, I think he loves, like, it's part of that racing background where it's that individual, like it's on you. And I think he loved those moments where he can steal the show. He's not the rah guy that's gonna go out on social media and post everything and just like, be about himself. But he loved to be there for his teammates and be there to make that big save. And if you look at all our games in Ottawa, and especially in the playoffs that year, like we got outchanced and outplayed, and then like especially the Pittsburgh series. I remember looking back last year when I had some free time, and I remember at Game 6, I think we were outchanced like 30-5. And it was something ridiculous like that, and I think it's that racing background that just he loved to thrive on those things, and Guy had trouble with that when we were in Ottawa. He's like, we got to cut shots down, and there's just no, let him be, and Craig came through in the end. And I remember like Mike Condon just not like, how's this guy doing? Like you can't see it, but he just came through, and I think it boils down to that, that individual want to be there for his teammates.
It's funny I told this story. So Pierre's heard it, but I told this story at the retirement party that we were finally in that season with Guy that we went deep into the playoffs. We were finally kind of getting our traction with the new system, and the team was getting better. And Guy calls me over after a practice and says, Andy's struggling a little bit. And he wasn't struggling, but he said he let a couple soft ones in over time here. And it was like, you know him the best probably. Have you talked to him? And I said, yeah, he's fucking bored. And he just looked at me like, what? I said, we're only giving up, there's a stretch that we gave up like 18 to 24 shots. I'm like, that's not enough for Andy. And he was dumbfounded that I could answer with that. He just looked at me and could not believe that our goalie needed 35 shots for us to win, because who would ever expect that? But that's just the way it was for Andy.
Well, yeah, Guy, like when he struggled, Guy would spend hours and hours in the office, and we're just like, I just want to go home. Like, just enough. Like, it's 6 o'clock. Like, we're not going to change the game. But Guy, like, he struggled with that big time. And it just, like, Guy, system-wise, like, he could dissect any system possible, which was great about Guy. Like, he was awesome with that. And I remember, like, sometimes leaving after morning skate, and he's drawing up his diagrams on the boards in the locker room, and it's just packed. And I'm like, okay, if I don't understand this, the players aren't going to understand this. But that's the way he was, and he had trouble with that. And I was just like, that's the way Andy is. You're not going to change that. So I know you don't like giving up 35 shots a game, but that's what he needs.
It's so crazy.
The good thing is that Bobby and the rest of his teammates did all they could to give up more shots for Andy. So I know that they're really good teammates.
Good teammates, just good teammates.
PG, the question, I guess, is you could see it today when Craig spoke to the media. There was emotion in his voice. He was emotional about it. Why does today matter to Craig Anderson? He played Chicago, Colorado, Florida, Washington, Buffalo, and I know he spent 10 years in Ottawa and has every record except one. But why does this really matter?
Well, this is where his career is. That there's no, like, yeah, he played for Chicago, Florida, Colorado, Buffalo, Washington. Like, he's played almost everywhere. But this is where home is, and he's got a lot of good friends here. This is the building that made Craig Anderson. This is where he felt at home. This is where he felt, wanted. I know him telling me a story when he got to Ottawa and Brian Murray. This is where he felt like that he was needed, and that's where he was wanted. And I think, I know it means tons to him today. And I think a lot of things happened here. This is where, he learned about Nicole's diagnosis, and it's just the way the fans were with him. This is home, basically. He never wanted to leave. And when he says that, I truly believe that. And he was really disappointed that COVID year when his last game was in LA, because he never got a proper send-off here, which he deserves. And that pains him to this day, for sure. And what tonight means for him is just that he's home for a day. And that's I'm glad they're doing this because he deserves this. And I think this is where his career was made. So that's why it means so much to him.
Guys, walk me back. Why did Andy end up leaving? What happened?
Well, they felt, yeah.
Yeah, like
they felt he was done, and
Thought he was too old.
Yeah, and they felt that at that time, which was weird because we weren't ready to contend, and the stuff that Andy's done last couple of years in Buffalo with the young guys, he would
And
help
Washington.
Washington, yes, he would have helped the young guys in Ottawa. Yeah, was he playing his best hockey? No, but the way he played last year in Buffalo, you could tell he still had gas left in the tank. And I think they felt he was too old, he was done, and they wanted to go with different guys. But you need that veteran leadership in the locker room, especially with a young team, and you need that veteran backstop that's gonna tell the kids, tell the D how to play certain situations. And Craig, like, I talked to him quite a few times last year, and that's what he did. And he loved it in Buffalo because he saw the young guys, the potential, and he knows that he knew he could make an impact that way and help that team grow. And I'm so glad they brought him back as a consultant because he's going to help the young guys, not just the young goalies, but help that room. Just, hey, he was that know-it-all cocky kid when he came in the league in Florida, and he thought he knew everything, but now he's total reverse attitude where he knows that what it needs to be done to be a true professional and be successful in the league. So I wish they would have kept him, but they felt that he was too old, unfortunately. Well, yeah.
Okay. Now I need to know, Pierre, since you spent so much time with him, I think you've even trained with him during COVID. You traveled a bunch of places. I need some stories. Okay. What stories do you have of Craig Anderson that we don't? He seems stoic and cranky. Did you guys ever get into it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember that year that Nicole got diagnosed, and then I spent the All-Star break in New Jersey to try and get him back. And I rented a van to carry all his gear because he didn't want to come get it, which is fine. But first day on the ice, half an hour in, pukes on the ice because he hadn't been on the ice for 3 months. And then he starts blaming it on blue Gatorade. I'm like, are you kidding me? Blue Gatorade? He's like, yeah, I can't drink that. Jake's the same way. Jake can't drink blue Gatorade. He's allergic to it. I'm like, blue Gatorade. That doesn't matter what color. They're all the same. It's Gatorade. He's like, no, I haven't. Like, it's not. I'm like, Craig, you're just not in shape. Just admit to it. You're just not in shape. But to this day, when we got back to Ottawa, when he started playing, he told Coxie, he's like, I can't have blue Gatorade. I got to have red or yellow or whatever. But that day, I'm just, Craig, you're just not in shape right now. And he's like, no, it's the blue Gatorade. I'm like, okay.
I'm glad we're going to get him on the show. He wouldn't come on today. I tried a number of different ways, including through Bob and through his agent and whatnot. But I'm going to bring up the story of blue Gatorade and see what he has to say about this. What was a bigger game for you? I don't want to call it a win. Was it the game in Edmonton where he leaves the hospital and goes and gets the 2-0 shutout? Or is it the game in Boston when they clinch the series?
100% Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Just for a guy that left the team. And then, so we get to Calgary. And after the first period, I remember Guy Boucher coming to me and says, Hammy's coming out. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I think he gave up 2, but they weren't his fault. He's like, no, he's out. I'm like, why are you pulling him? So I had a big argument with him. I'm like, why are you pulling him? He's like, no, he's hurt. I'm like, oh, shit. So I go see Dreger. I'm like, Dreger in. And then at that point, I'm like, 3 games in, we've lost our number 1 and our number 2. And then Craig calls me. He says, I'm coming back for Edmonton. I'm like, what are you doing? Nicole needs you. He's like, no, Nicole told me to go. And that morning, I'm like, what do you need? He's like, no video. I just need to feel some pucks. And I just want to get on the ice. I'm like, okay. And then he plays that game. And I've never seen a goalie play a game where it was pure emotions. And it just, and I remember Rob Cookson with a minute and a half left in the game. We're up 3-0. He's like, okay, let's go. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I got to see this to the end. Go down from upstairs. So, and then walking down in the locker room, and he's in tears, just in his stall. And it's just the pure emotion of a guy just giving everything he had. And obviously after that game, he left home, but you play the game on emotions, but not that kind of emotions. And I think that game will always stay with me. Looking at Cam Talbot coming back to the bench and just applauding Craig, and just the emotions that we saw in the locker room come out of Craig. It's you never want your wife to have that kind of news, but for him to come back and play that way, it was incredible. So Boston was great. Don't get me wrong, clinching that was great, but that game, like, I still remember every moment of that game just as if it was yesterday.
Yeah. And the only reason I bring up Boston is the win itself, but it's the hug with Nicole after in the stands. That's what makes me think of that game.
No, and of course the game was special. Nicole was there, and it's just, she was still, trying to get better and stuff like that. That game was good, but that Edmonton game, you never forget that.
No.
Okay. Was there ever, we go back to him being a little bit ornery. Was there ever a time where you guys didn't speak for a bit?
No, never. He, like I said, he would complain, he would bitch, and he's like, okay, PG, we'll do this drill just for you. And you just in that voice, that condescending voice. But in the end, I always went back to him and said, okay, we did it. And, after games, sometimes he'd come, and bitch about certain things about the guys, the D or whichever. I'm like, Craig, just tone it down.
Who?
All of them.
I just said, I would just say to him, hey, tone it down, get on the bus and we'll talk tomorrow and stuff like that. But there's never any moment when we've been working together that we've never talked. And I know before he got traded to Ottawa, he called me and he says, I'm struggling here. I need some help. And, we just had that kind of relationship where it was just, there was never any moment where, we said we had a nephew contest and never talked for a few days. It just never happened.
Yeah. I was thinking about that because you just described that beautifully. I'll do this drill for the amount of times I heard that. I'll do that drill just for you. And we're like, Andy, there's two people on the ice with you and they're here just for you. It is Pierre and me. And the odd time we'd get that young rookie out and they'd be like, well, I have to be out here because there's a 700 game player and a 500 game goalie or whatever it is. And they've been in, the league 20 something years. So those young guys just hated us sometimes, but, it just brings back so many memories thinking about that. Just those days where it was just the three of us or four of us. If we had somebody else,
those young guys must have been wondering what the hell's going on. Like they're arguing on the ice, and we were, but we weren't. Like it was just one of those things. And Bobby knew what was going on, so I didn't have to tell Bobby. And then I look back, the young kids are just like, what are they doing? But in the end, he always does those drills, and it was. I came out on top every time, so it was good.
Every time. Pierre,
yeah.
I can't believe it now. How is a guy, like just body wise and everything, able to play that long? Like that's I know how I felt at 37 when I retired. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So how's Andy able to go that long?
Well, he knew. Well, that's the thing. Like, put him up against anybody, against any of the best goalies, Price, Vasilevsky, those guys. He reads the game so well. He reads the game as better than anybody when he was in his prime. And I know Bobby will attest to this, but in practice, it rarely went down. But,
but
he wouldn't. But in a game, a lot of times you'd see him make a save standing up. So the wear and tear on his body was not normal versus other goalies that go down every single time. Yeah. So the way he read the game permitted him to save his body. I know it pissed off a lot of players, including Bobby, but that's the way he played. So I think the way he read the game allowed him to be able to keep his body in check and keep his body going that way. So it just, I mean, he's not the most athletic. He's not in shape. He's just like, but it's just the way you read the game. And I remember some practice saying, hey, I'm not even going to watch the puck. I'm just going to watch the guy's bottom hand, and he's going to tell me where to shoot. He's shooting, and he was right every time. And he said, I'm not going to look at the puck, I'm just going to look at the guy's eyes. And just the way you read the game allowed him to play this long. And some call it lazy. I call it, working smart. Maybe.
Yeah.
So
It's funny. We used to do so many different drills. And especially on game days when it was just a few of us on the ice, we would do certain drills that Andy would need, obviously. And those sessions were for me a little bit, but more for Andy, obviously. I used to hate drills where the puck would go across the ice and I'd have to shoot. And I could shoot anywhere I wanted. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm 30 feet out. Andy's not going down. I'm not scoring. I could hit my mark, and I'm going to hit him right in the knee pad because he's going to stand there and just stick his knee to the side a little bit. So I used to love the drills where we would do stuff from behind the net where Andy had to come across and be down. And I'm like, I have a fight. And like, I scored some pretty good goals over my career. And I'm like, I have a fighter's chance on this drill to go 1 for 10. And that was a big day. And then he used to take, what I used to love about it is we would do the shootout at the end sometimes, or even in the pregame warm up, he would take 3 or 4 breakaways from 3 or 4 guys, and then other guys would get in line, and Andy'd be like, no. And because he knew that those guys were going to come down and try something stupid. So you would actually know that when a certain player was going, Andy was just going to let them score and move on. And then he would wait for me or Dutchie or somebody that was actually going to do something that would benefit him. So that's why he was able to play so long. He was very selective on what he did.
yeah,
Amazing. I didn't know that. So do you think Zach Smith should be at the ceremony tonight?
Public enemy number 1 in practice.
Yeah. Next question.
What did he say about Zach Smith? Because for those who don't know, Smitty was always trying to take his head off. Basically,
always the amount of FU matches between them because Craig would stop. Craig actually got out of the net a few times when Smitty was coming in because he's like, I'm just not doing it. So Smitty would be like, well, I'm not allowed to shoot. I'm like, wherever, and he's like, you're allowed to shoot, but you're not allowed to start the process at the top of the circle, shoot from the hash mark, and try to go bar down when you scored 20 once.
And the best is that Craig is like, I have no idea where he's shooting. He has no idea where he's shooting. So why say that? Because it's not worth it.
That is a direct quote, actually.
So good. So how did you know? Because we would sit in the stands on game day mornings or practices and be like, well, like basically we what we see is Greg letting in goals because he's just standing there. We're like, wow, he doesn't give a shit today or whatever. How do you know if he was about to have a good or bad game? Could you tell from a morning skate or a practice?
Not really. Sometimes, yeah, because he was just not reading the puck, and you could tell. And sometimes he'd stay in his net and just try to hit the puck with a stick. Like he'd just be like,
Yes.
"Watch this! I'm not going to try to catch it. I'm just going to catch it on the fly with my stick." And you know what? Yeah, if he wasn't catching those pucks when he was doing those drills, I'd be like, "Okay, that should be interesting tonight." Because if his eyes weren't on, if his reads weren't on, then yeah, he would have struggled because that was his game. So yeah, probably when he wasn't that way, but then that's nothing, especially when Guy was there. I would never go to Guy with that because Guy would friggin' panic all day and we'd be at the rink all day trying to figure out what to do. So,
Just a couple more questions. And I want to ask you about a couple other goalies because you were the goalie coach for Carey Price, Ed Belfort, which I want to get to because there's got to be a story. So one of the questions that just came up in the chat was about the hand slice incident. Were you were in Ottawa at the time, or no? That was still Rick Walmsley.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised.
I was just curious of what your take on that was, but because the amount of rumors that started swirling, Bob, you would probably remember, it was out of control at one point.
Yeah. I just remember the background noise of it, and I honestly don't remember the incident a whole lot, or the
slicing
aftermath.
turkey, or sorry, frozen chicken after a game.
Yeah. I'm not even going to comment because I don't really know. I honestly don't know. I just remember all the different stories that we kept hearing, and we're like, people talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just let it go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, PG. Let's start with Carey Price.
Yeah.
I know you two were close. Do you have any stories you can share about Carey Price, one of the game's greats?
Yeah, but some.
The ones you can share. That's all I'm saying. You can
No.
change names if you have to.
No, I think the thing with Carey is that showed up in Montreal his second year in the league, and that year was when it was Halak and him, and Halak took over in the playoffs, and Carey was like, yeah, we had a few contests on the ice with me and Carey, and I remember him breaking a stick and me telling him, "Okay, you feel better now?" Like I just, but he learned that year how to be a pro, and he learned that we had the chat where you have two ways here. You want to be pout and just go that way, or be a great teammate and help this team out. And then that year, that's when he learned to be a pro, and that's where his career took off. But that summer, when the Lack and Price trade rumors and all that, keep a Lack, keep Price. I remember Pierre Groulx coming to me once a week when he took over as GM, every week asking me, who do we keep? And every single time was Price. And he's like, well, no, he's not playing well right now. Why would we keep him? He's going to be an outstanding goalie. But the thing about Carey is that he was so good at everything that I had to be at my best every time I was on the ice. And every drill had to be a purpose. Every drill had to be like, there was a lot of questions. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But he was so good at everything. But I think he made everybody around him better because he's that type of goaltender, and we all know what he did in his career. And unfortunately, he never had the team in front of him to really, the guy should have won a Stanley Cup. He was that good. But he made me a better coach because every day I stepped into that locker room, whether it be video or whether it be on ice drills, I had to be ready because the drill had to have a purpose. Well, whatever we did had to have a purpose. But he was just outstanding. You talk about it like Craig; they're complete opposite. Carey was an athlete. Craig was not. But Carey was just that special, and it was a treat to work with him.
All right. Have you ever been offered $1 billion by Ed Belfour?
No, but I remember the year-end party in Florida. They all went out to Miami, and I remember Mike Van Ryn and Billy Peltonen, the best person you'll ever meet, like just king of Finland basically at that time. They went out, and Eddie, they're going bar to bar to bar, and Eddie, the bouncer says, "That's enough, you're done." And Mike Van Ryn was with him, takes him, and then Eddie's like, "No, I want to get into this bar." And anyways, he goes chest down on the floor, hands in, because they want to arrest him. He's like, "You're not arresting me." They had to tase him 3 times before the hands came back. And next day in the paper, you see a picture of him and Billy Peltonen, being arrested. So it's Eddie was special. Eddie was always the first one at the rink, always last one gone. Sharpen his own skates. I remember him bringing his son. He'd tell me, "Okay, today we're staying late. Dane's coming. We got to go on the ice with him." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." But Eddie would he'd bring this tennis ball machine, and he's like, "Okay, we're just gonna warm up." I'm like, "Okay." There was a long hallway in Florida right beside the locker room, and Dane would have his glove, blocker, and helmet. That's it. And Eddie would be firing tennis balls from his tennis ball machines at him. He's got to work on his. I'm like, "Eddie, you're gonna hurt him." No, he's got to work on his tracking. And then we get on the ice, and Eddie would just go through drills with this kid. But Eddie was special. But even at that age, at 41, when he was in Florida, he was always first guy in, last guy out, stretching, doing all he could to stay in the game. But in the end, his back was just was done at that time. But he was always playing with his gear. He was always like he was a hockey nerd to some extent as far as equipment, but he was always he was always there. And there's lots of stories, but the tasing one was pretty good.
It's amazing.
Okay, last who's the craziest goalie you've worked with? Any
That's a
name?
good one.
Craziest goalie, probably Thomas Vokoun. Like I think we had Pete DeBoer was our coach at the time, and I know there was a couple of times where Volky would want, because we went through a period where goalies were giving up. You know, if they give up 2 goals in the first, they were getting pulled, and it was just he was going nuts. He's like, I'm going to go there and freaking fight him. I'm going to fight him. I'm like, Volky, come on. But Volky was like this stocky, like he wasn't a tall guy, but he was like thick and stocky and just bald head, and he a couple times he'd come walking over and he'd be like, I'm going to go in there and fight him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to do this and this and this. And then like, Volky, settle down. But Volky could go from 0 to 100 and like that. And he would he was so intense. And then when like you could see the fume coming out of him because, you know, he got pulled or Pete said some things. And I was like, Volky, you can't do that. You can't do that. But the intensity of that guy was incredible.
I never knew that goalie coaches were just as much therapists, because that's such a different relationship between goalie coaches and player coaches. I had no clue. I knew Andy would always bounce things off you. I just figured Andy was different.
No, you are a psychologist, you're a coach, you're like, the best relation I can give it is a caddy in golf, because the caddy in golf calms the golfer down and when things aren't going well. But that's you hold many hats, and you have to, because coach is pissed off at the goalie, goalie's pissed off at the coach wants you to tell the goalie that he sucks, and you gotta phrase it in certain ways, and then you get the brunt of the complaining because you're there. You walk in the locker room or the coach's room after the game, and the coach is the first person he sees, and he's pissed at the goalie. So who gets it? And it's just that's the job, and that's when things are going well, you enjoy it. But when things are going bad, it's tough. But you wear many hats for sure.
I have a trivia question before I let you go. I know you weren't here for all of Craig's years. However, can you name all the goalies that Craig had as teammates?
Oh, geez, that's
in Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Leonard, Bishop, Condon, McKenna, Hogberg, Dreger, Decord. I know there's way more probably.
Forgetting a big one.
Big one.
You already mentioned him in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Condon?
Calgary. The Calgary game.
Oh, Hammond. Thank
Yeah.
you. How many am I missing?
You are missing 6.
Oh.
6, 7. Oh, 6, 7. Yeah. All right. Here we go. We can put the board up now. There were 14 goalies that Craig Anderson played with during his tenure in Ottawa.
Oh, yeah.
Leonard, Condon, Hammond, Anders Nielsen, Hogberg, Bishop, Auld, Mike McKenna, Curtis McElhaney, Chris Dreger, Joey Decord, Nathan Lawson, Matt O'Connor. We all remember that game. And Daniel Taylor.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of teammates.
Yeah.
That's a lot of guys that have put up with him. I don't know how they did it.
And you had to put up with them as well. We appreciate your time, PG. Enjoy the game tonight. I would love to have you back to share some more stories of your time. So, and good luck this season with the Women's Hockey League, as you will be. Are you behind the bench, or are you just the goalie coach?
That's still yet to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah, I am assistant coach, but honestly, it's after everything ended, the way it ended in Ottawa, I took some time off and I had some opportunities, and then the kids, they didn't want to move. Any other job, forced us to move. So when this came about, when Mike Hirschfeld was named GM, we talked, and he says, I'd love to have you part of this group. And then I've watched about 8 to 10 games of especially Emirates Mockmeyer play and Sandra Albstrider, but I've gained a new respect for the game. There's such good athletes, and coaching goalies is coaching goalies. That doesn't matter, but I think the people of Ottawa will be impressed of the women's game and how far it's come. and it's a neat challenge. It's obviously groundbreaking new league. They do things right. They, with Brian Burke at the helm of the Players Association for them, but they're doing things like Carla McLeod is, I think, the conversation I've had with you, she's a fantastic head coach. I just think it's going to be exciting for the city to see this team play and see the women in action, because it's impressive to watch the women play and how good they are. And it's I'm actually on the ice with Emirates next week, and I can't wait. I'm just ecstatic, and it's just sort of re-energized me for coaching, and I miss coaching. So, but after watching them play, it's very exciting for sure.
Perfect.
Nice.
Well, good luck this season, my friend.
Good luck.
We'll be watching.
And thank you,
Thanks,
buddy.
Pierre.
Good to see you.
Thanks guys. Talk to you.
There goes Pierre Groulx. I really like him. He also, one thing, when he was just out with the Sens, he came and worked out with our AAA hockey organization. He was the goalie coach for that as well. He did
Good man.
Good.
Good
He's
man.
just good people. Yeah.
He's a perfect person for Andy, because he'll tell Andy like
Yes.
it is, but he'll do it subtly and with a hint of sarcasm, and they'll go. I've seen them go at it a little bit, and it's never, because of their personalities, it's never much. There's a little bit of F you, and then all of a sudden we're doing a drill again. And like, I got used to it so fast that I just be like, all right, well, I'll be over here shooting pucks. Somebody let me know what we're doing. So perfect person for Andy to have in his corner.
All right. One last thing for Andy, and then we're going to get on to the game tonight and help you get set up for the Buffalo game. Quickly, as always, DoorDash is one of our proud partners. So don't let the holidays get ahead of you. That's right. We're already talking holidays. Big Santa at Costco, by the way. Running out of time to run errands, go grocery shopping, and cook a delicious meal for that gathering you agreed to host, Bobby? It doesn't have to be this hard. Make DoorDash your holiday hack and get your groceries, meals, and more delivered right to your door. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more. When you download the DoorDash app and enter code NATION25, all uppercase letters, that's 25% off up to a $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code NATION25. Don't forget, that's code NATION25, 25% off your first order. Offer valid in Canada. Subject to change. Terms apply. Bobby, who is your hot performer of the day?
In the last 24 hours without a game?
Hey, by the way, when it comes to the hot and cold performer, you can pick anybody from anywhere. You can pick a team. You can pick what. I don't care.
Oh,
You
nobody.
can
all right,
pick
well,
anything. It
that
doesn't have
wasn't
to
in
be
any of the
Senators.
nerd reports, but
I said it.
did
You
you?
just don't. Yeah, you don't listen sometimes.
That, you know what? I've had a few people tell me that. So I do know that's a fact, but I'm gonna go with the hot performer. And you took Gregory yesterday, and we talked about Sanderson in the background. He's gonna have another night tonight. Watch, because he's gonna get elevated minutes.
The two Ds lead the teams in scoring: Rasmus Dahlin and Jake Sanderson.
I don't
That's
care
it.
about Dahlin. Sanderson's my hot performer. He's gonna have a monster night today. A lot of hockey
That's-
tonight. I wish I was.
Bob,
Yeah.
hang on. That's not your hot performer.
Why?
It's Craig Anderson.
We did talk about this. We did talk about this. Hot performer tonight, Andy.
Yeah.
We actually have a text chain about this too. I apologize. Hot guy tonight.
Yes.
I spent
Andy.
all night to build this board. Damn it. You're going to look at it.
Yeah, all right. We talked about it. Hey,
Yeah.
we've talked about him extensively today, so I won't say a lot. Honestly,
I just wanted it. It's fitting, basically,
I agree.
to pick Andy, just so people remember.
Yep.
First in wins, shutouts, goals against, save percentage. Second in shutouts, I meant to say. Trailing only Patrick Aleem. And that stat does bother him, by the way. He did want to be number one. Yep.
I know that for a fact.
So we can always bring that up if we have him on the show. It'll be the last time he's on the show, but we can.
I know he's not watching, but I hope he enjoys his night.
I know he's not watching. Of course he's not. Hey,
all right.
I'm not doing a hot performer, am I?
No. If you'd
I
like
was-
to,
If I was,
Yeah.
I would take Anton Forsberg. He's been hot.
Yeah.
Well, he's
had a
looked
gr- he's
very
had a
good.
gr- He's had a great start to the season, and I see no reason why that changes. He's been rock solid and good on Forsberg coming back from those 2 MCLs. Nobody knew how he was going to play. So testament to the summer he had. He's come in. He's been all that and more.
Yeah, and I look forward to him tonight. He's against Buffalo 3-3 with a sizzling, I think, 940 save percentage and a 150 goals against average. So speaking of tonight's game, you've got Artem Zub out of the lineup again. They flipped the D a little bit. So Shabbat is now paired on, I guess, the right side with Jake Sanderson tonight. Bernard Docker plays with Eric Brandstrom. I don't expect we'll see much of Bernard Docker. I think he played 10 minutes in the last game. But it'll be interesting to see how they play them defensively.
Yeah. That bottom pairing there, they're going to have to watch what face-offs they put him out for, who they're out against with. I didn't like Brandstrom's last game. I thought he was really good up until his last game. That's what I said. Like, it is really tough to play as a bottom pairing defenseman when you're only playing whatever it is, 12 to 15 minutes. You just don't get into the flow of the game if you're a puck mover like Brandstrom, and the role he's playing in is just not suited for his game. It's really tough to play, man. I'll tell you, when I played as a bottom pairing D, I sucked. It's just you gotta play at least 18 minutes, and that's why Brandstrom played so well in preseason, playing a ton. That's why he played so well at the end of the season, playing a ton. So we'll see. It's I'm still intrigued to see what happens, because we haven't even talked about Pinto. Like,
I know
this has to get solved. Like, the longer this kid sits, it's not good for anybody.
Well, okay, but so now the Sens are trying to, I think, start to float. Maybe we move him. Is this a negotiating tactic?
They're not moving him.
Or are they looking to make? But there are stranger things that have happened. Gentlemen.
Not a chance. Not a
true,
chance. Bob?
But I don't. Yeah, it's true, but I don't see it, and I think that it's a. They wanted to get back to his agent, so his agent says, "Let's just get something done," and they take less money. Don't you think?
Yeah, but they still have to. Someone still has to leave town. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
like, somebody has to leave off this roster. So
if you're Shane Pinto, at what do you have to agree to take less money?
No,
you didn't you didn't do anything wrong here. As far as I'm like, he didn't ask for $9 million.
Yep.
No, he was offered $1 million for 1 year. There's no chance that Shane Pinto wants to sign a 1-year deal. And I explain this every time. If he gets hurt and by chance has a season or a career threatening injury, he's done.
makes no sense. Yep.
Right? You're like,
Never.
both of you are players. Are you signing a 1-year bridge deal with that? Oh, but the extension is in the drawer. It doesn't matter. It's not going to save you if you get hurt.
Not a chance.
It's just a really tough spot, because you don't have the arbitration. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised more teams don't do this with their players, and because you see more and often now, they're just giving guys money right away, and then all of a sudden it's like, now we're to, well, why isn't this guy getting paid? Everybody else got re-upped, and I'm sure that's what their camp's thinking. But it was for sure there was a deal done in the summer that Pierre Dorian and whoever else he had the deal, they had some deal that fell through. That's the only plausible reason I can think why they're at this situation, because no general manager in their right mind would put themselves in this situation. It makes no sense.
Zero.
So it was like, we're signing Tarasenko and we already have a deal made for later where this other guy is getting traded, and that didn't happen. So that's the only thing I can think of to see why they're at this predicament, because you've got this great young prospect now sitting out, who the team could use. And it does no good for young players to miss this much time. It's not great for the development.
No.
So but the crunch is coming here. December 1st, I think, is coming a lot quicker than we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do either one of you foresee Shane Pinto not being signed by December 1st, meaning he can't play this season?
Oh, I don't see it. I don't see that anyway taking place. I think the panic button's going to get real the first time an injury happens. And I think that'll happen before December 1st, and something will come together.
Yeah,
And
it's
I don't see it. There's no way.
it would be one thing if he was asking for an astronomical, like it just seems to me like they've kind of agreed what he's worth. Like it's not, they're not, and even if they haven't, they're not far off. This
Right.
isn't a situation where one party's saying we want 5 million, and they're like, no,
Right.
it's 1 million. It's very close. This is just a situation where like I said, it was mismanaged to where they are now, and they put themselves in a really tough spot. So,
yeah,
it is what it is, and the only way you can make this better is for them to get on a heater and start winning games, and then that puts a lot of pressure on Pinto's camp.
true.
But like this is a massive game tonight against Buffalo. Like it's really going to show. This is a game Ottawa has to have. You lose this game, and all of a sudden, I know it's early, but it's like.
But you just lost 2 divisional games to teams that are going to be right there with you.
Like you're not pressing the panic button, but the little glass thing that protects the panic button kind of starting to slide open, and then your fingers getting close to it.
It's a big week.
It's a big
right?
week, but I like how Ottawa's played so far.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you this. As you start this game, you have now sat, because you're going to be on the bench. You're going to be watching the ceremony. It's going to be 15 minutes, or the show starts at 6:30. Game puck drop is 6:53. Got to do the anthems, whatever. So you're looking at 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you come out flat? Now, I say that because Buffalo, I always find the teams that have played the night before, everybody's, oh, no, they'll be tired. They always have jump early on. It's the third period where they start to get a little. So I think Buffalo comes out quicker. I think they get on them quicker, and I think they score first. How does Ottawa handle this? And because Buffalo, by the way, they're a little cranky being 2-4.
Yeah, I think if you're Ottawa, the big part of managing the game after the emotions is big. I would say it's got to be very, very simple early, and do not get trapped early, because we know how Buffalo is. They want to run and gun. They want to outskill you. They want to win 6-5, and they don't care how they do it. I think that would be a detriment for Ottawa to go run and gun with them. So they have to really, really just manage the puck for the first 10 minutes. Your jump's going to come. You're going to start to feel it after that. And they've had a little bit of a, kind of a downtime with a couple of days off and not playing. So very, very simple, stupid hockey early. It's such it's such a cliche, isn't it, Yorkie? But like, just manage the puck. Don't make turnovers at the blue line, and force Buffalo to play in their own zone, because they don't do that very much. They don't do that very well.
Buffalo will beat themselves because they can't help themselves. They want to play 1980s hockey.
Yeah.
And if Sens just kind of
what does that mean?
It means you do risky, high percentage plays. It's like when you get to the blue line and you have the puck and you're by yourself with no support, you try and beat that guy one-on-one, and then you turn it over and it's coming back the other way. So you're always trying for the home run play. You're always trying to do that special play. Drives coaches nuts. I used to like take the blue line when I was coaching, and I used to highlight it. And they say, see here, guys, we are not turning the puck over, because 90% of the time something bad happens. And that's what Ottawa was guilty of. If you want to pick on something last game, they turned it over way too much. In Detroit, managed the puck. They managed the puck better. So I think they'll be fine. I think they had a great video meeting probably the other day. They went over some of their mistakes, cleaned this up. I'm sure the message is let Buffalo beat themselves. We don't need to get into a track meet. It would be fun to watch a track meet because there's a lot of talent. And I think a guy like Timmy Sousa is going to be way better. He's going to be way better tonight. I thought that was probably his worst game of the season as far as managing the puck, but it's tough. Like he can take the puck, Bob, and go beat you at the blue line and do all that shit. But he just has to just play smart, like you said. Start it and let Buffalo turn the puck over and capitalize.
You could be Tage Thompson. I would rather be Tim Stützle right now than Tage Thompson, who has 1 goal and 1 point. He was going to be your DoorDash cold performer if you wanted one.
He is cold. Why is he
6
cold?
games, 1 goal, 29 shots, though. He is -4. And again, we're 6 games into the year. However, we get to hit the panic button right away. So that's
it's Buffalo's hitting the panic button. Oh, absolutely.
And by the way, Devin Levi's hurt. He's out. He's not playing tonight. Luukkonen is playing. He didn't play last night as well. So they may have him back after this game, but there is that. So, but I still like that team. I still think they can be really good.
They can be if other teams fall for the trap, right?
All right.
And they'll get beat a lot of nights because they beat themselves, just like Yorkie said.
So let's pick our lock of the day. After all of that chatter, I do have some notes for you before you go ahead and make your decisions. Although I'm hoping there is some difference tonight that one of us pick an opposing team just to break it up here. Buffalo has struggled against Ottawa, and I think at home in the last 11, Ottawa is like 8-1-1 at home. You've got Rasmus Dahlin's coming in on a 5-game point streak. Dylan Cousins has got 3 points in the last so many games, 3 games. I think 6 points in the last 3 games. Gavin, do you have our lock of the day? I'll take that as no, since it's not up there. So who are you? Oh, there we go. Buffalo, by the way, their power play, they did score last night, is absolutely atrocious. 9.5%. So with that being said, I will defer to Yorkie, who is the reigning champion on lock of the day, to make the first pick.
You know what, too? I had a stinking suspicion about Detroit. I almost went with Detroit on the weekend. But I didn't. But I'm 100% going Ottawa. The only way they're going to lose this game, if they don't manage the puck, and they got to stay out of the box, like way too many penalties. I know ticky-tacky penalties, but if they stay out of the box, don't get into a track meet, which I think they'll do both those things. I like Ottawa. I'm 99% sure Ottawa's going to win this game.
All right. Just because we need somebody to go the other way, so we have something to talk about.
Yeah,
and I don't want to, especially with the backup goalie in. I do like a couple things that Wally said, that if that they'll have a little more jump early, and I think they'll score first as well. I'm gonna go Buffalo. I'm not crazy about it, but we can't all have the same record all year long.
See, I don't know whether to join you or not at this point, because I felt like I was going to have to take Buffalo and convince myself.
Yep.
But they're going to have to win, and they're going to be jumping tonight because they're
going to be jumping. They're going to
about being 2-4.
They can't start the season 2-5. So you got to take Buffalo.
Well, you didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I went first.
Don't tell me what to do.
It's not my fault you told me to go first. Hey, Ottawa could lose. Like you said, these ceremonies, man.
Okay.
They take the gas out of the engine.
And by the way, Craig Anderson is employed now by the Buffalo Sabres as a goaltending consultant, being honored by Ottawa tonight. Does he put money up on either board?
No.
It's
his night.
So who's more motivated to win? Is Ottawa more motivated for Andy, or is Buffalo, because he was there last year and they love him?
Yeah, they do love him there. They had a great showing at his retirement party for the captains and some young guys that came down.
I'm taking Buffalo. I think this game means more to them for winning for Andy.
Let's go. Yeah, most of these guys don't even know who Andy is on that team.
Yeah.
So, all right. We were going against Yorkie. I like it.
Yeah,
and I'm still not sold, but that's okay.
I'll give you a little secret too. Like when guys are playing, like as much as you like a guy or whatever, you don't know him. Like when you get the puck and you're about to score, you're like, damn it, I got to put this in. Got to win this for Andy. Like, or the defenseman's going, like Tage Thompson's coming down to me. Shit, I got to stop him. I can't let Andy down.
You know, they're all on the bench. Do it for Andy. Do it for Andy. So yeah, that's what I'm picking. They're going to win for Andy, for the Buffalo.
Do it
Sabres.
for Andy. I love it.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for this one. We will be back tomorrow morning to break down this game and the ceremony of how tonight goes against the Buffalo Sabres. So
we're on again in the morning.
Yeah,
People
9 a.m.
People are going to get sick of us, for God's sake.
I love both of you to death, so I can't wait.
Less is more.
See you tomorrow morning, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you later, buddy.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Botano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.